All right, all right. What's up? Welcome to the Saucy Marriage Weekend live panels. We have our expert panel up first, the amazing, illustrious group here. And I'm going to introduce myself first. Hey, Imani Aisha. I am the host of the Saucy Marriage Weekend, as well as a marriage coach, a mama, all of that. We have 3 attendees. Hey, what's up? Hey, Kristen, Yolanda, Dana, Nelson. How are you all? Let you guys know real quick that below you is the chat. You can absolutely comment in the chat. Let me make sure I got that. Yes, you can absolutely do that. You can also ask questions in the chat or in the Q&A, and you can ask, this is the pied de resistance. You can ask anonymous questions in the Q&A. You can click for it to be anonymous. So some of you may have questions that you would like to be anonymous, and I want you to know you have that option, okay? All right, and hey, Kristen. Yes, you are. Yes, Yolanda. Your mics are muted. Thank you for saying that. As attendees, your mics are automatically muted. We cannot hear you if you have kids in the background jumping up and down because it's Sunday afternoon. It's totally fine. Yes, group 2 with the little kids. That's totally fine. So we can't hear you. But if you would like to ask a question with your voice, I can unmute you so you can say your question out loud. If not, feel free to engage in the comments and also in the Q&A. Think up those questions once we get the conversation going, and feel free to ask. This is your time. This is your moment of myself and any of the other panelists. We are here for you. So, hey again, I'm Imani Aisha, marriage coach, mama, wife, woman, all the things. And I'm happy to be here with you all. So I'm going to kick it to the rest of the panelists and give them an opportunity to introduce themselves. Who's, just raise a hand.
I can go first. My name is Willie Johnson. I am a self-published author. I'm a certified life coach, motivational speaker. I speak on helping you heal from your broken places. Mostly I come from relationships. How do you heal after that broken relationship? How do you find yourself? And that's what I focus on. I want to help you find you after you have lost yourself.
Yes.
Hello, my name is Marcia McClendon. I am the founder of Seed Conversations, and Seed Conversations is basically our mission is to improve relationships with parents and their children, preferably older children and young adults, and teaching parents to set the foundation so that as their children grow, they can have the harder and more difficult conversations, and teaching them how to teach their children to voice their opinions in a respectful manner, so that both parent and child can listen and hear. And basically just having the conversations that are hard and the conversations that are easier: finances, sex, school, anything that our teenagers, our young adults are going through that they normally would run to the world for answers to, when us as parents are not vulnerable or transparent, so that they can talk to us. So we just want to bring back conversations within the family and be the role models or be the resource for our children. So that's what the conversation is about.
Right on. And anybody can. Michael, go ahead.
So I am a pleasure to meet everybody. I'm Michael Watson, expert financial advisor with Northwestern Mutual and lead senior advisor with Watson Wealth Planning. I am a retirement income strategist. My mission is to be a financial educator. I want to create financial independence through expert guidance and accountability. I want to change the narrative around wealth accumulation, particularly Black wealth, and help 1,000 families achieve a 7-figure net worth and generational wealth. I'm very excited to be here.
Awesome.
That's my brother.
Hello, I'm Chanel Jelly. I am a sexologist, a researcher, therapist. I work in HIV education and activism as well. I have a company, Jolly Co, that I've been running for about 14 years now. And I do speaking engagements, classes, workshops. I develop curriculum for organizations, and I do some counseling as well. So that's it in a nutshell. Happy to be here.
Yes, this is a powerful group, y'all. I'm blessed to have all of you here speaking on the panel with me. And hello, Elena. I saw you pop in as well when we're doing quick introductions. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, you can put them in the chat or the Q&A. And the Q&A lets you ask questions anonymously. So no one will see who asked the question, we'll just see the question. So some folks submitted some questions and they knew they couldn't be here. So I can start with some of those while even our panelists are thinking maybe they have some questions for each other. I know I have some questions as well, but it's not about me. So I'm gonna start with the people. So of course, this first question I feel is for Jolly, but I'm like, okay. So this first question was, my husband wants me to dirty talk, but I'm uncomfortable and feel silly, so I just don't do it. But I know he wants that, so I don't know, question mark. That's the question. So I don't know, but I guess it's like, what do we do about that?
Sure. So this is not uncommon at all. See if you're more comfortable with words. See if you're more comfortable with sexting. You know, some people are uncomfortable saying it face to face, but if there's like a little screen barrier that you can still get your point across, you can, you know, maybe it's a little email or something like that. I would try that. And just do what you feel comfortable doing. You know what I mean? You don't ever want to be inauthentic when it comes to sex, relating to someone's sexual experience, because you're not going to get, it's not going to be a full experience for you. And your partner is going to be like, this feels a little, we know when it's not really like enthusiastic, right?
Ain't trying to pop.
Right. It's just like, oh, okay, and so, so do what you feel comfortable. So even in the way you say things, say it how you feel comfortable saying it. I don't know what your husband expects as far as like, because dirty talk can mean a million different things, right?
Okay.
So let's start there. Like, what is it exactly? What is it
dirty?
Here, yeah, like what is dirty talk, things like that.
Levels to
it's definitely levels.
Levels
to
you
it.
Gotta make sure she started at the right level though,
right, like levels. What level we on, right? So if you got level 1 and he on level 4, okay, you just gonna have to start there, and then eventually you meet in the middle. But yeah, try, because I know for some people, like even me back in the day, like it was easier for me to write things out, even if it was my feelings or whatever, rather than just to say it. So even if you have to, sext, things like that, I would try that way first.
Yeah. I always thought sexting was visual. So sexting is also word. I always thought sexting was okay. See, that expands.
It's sexual text.
Yeah.
Okay, but I always thought that was just visual. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like a visual.
Oh, okay.
It can be,
right,
but also it doesn't have to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask this question. Let me ask this question on that. So what if he's on level 4, she's on 1, or not even on 1, but he wants her to get to 4 quickly? How would you tell him to work with her so that she can feel comfortable enough to keep moving up to what he wants? Because it also depends on how long they've been married and how long he's been asking that question or saying that. So if it's been years, his frustration level may be higher. So how would you coach in between that?
Yeah. So first of all, like there has to be patience, right? There's just so many levels to these kind of things.
Yeah, every situation is different. So we're speaking.
Yeah, every situation is so different.
Let me give a scenario so to make it easier. Scenario. They've been married 5 years. He freaky. He want his wife to talk. She act, because some men, their love language is
physical touch.
Physical touch.
Not physical touch. It's the words of affirmation.
Words of affirmation.
That can also mean I need you to talk to me and make me feel like you feeling me, and we're gonna leave it there, right? So I've been talking about this for 5 years, and you have not changed it. You're not budging on that, and I'm getting frustrated. And it's not like I'm saying I want you to go all crazy. Just tell me, is it mine or something of that nature? His level 4 is not, the free websites where you can go see others do crazy stuff. His level 4 is just like, just assure me that I am touching your love.
Yeah.
We don't just try to keep it like that. So in that scenario, how would you coach them? And just something really quick. Because I want to know,
Yeah. So I feel like I would have it kind of separated out. So if I'm talking with the wife, I would ask her what barriers are there. What makes it difficult for you to actually say something out loud? Because that could be some whole other uncovering of something, right?
Yeah.
So I go into my therapist's mind when I hear like there's been time and there is still no change and all this stuff. So I'm like, okay, there's other things going on.
Right.
This is manifesting this way. They ain't got nothing to do with this. It's something else, right? So in my therapist's mind, I'm wondering what is the blockage? What's the holdup personally? Because we never know what that piece is.
Right.
Yeah.
But let's say that we have figured some of that out and all of that. Then I would ask, what ways are you comfortable expressing, your, what'd you say, that you feeling husband, right? I would ask that. Because in honesty, not everyone expresses, the love languages don't all align, right? We all know that. We've experienced that in some kind of way. So we may have to think about, okay, I'm not receiving it this way. This is how she's able to do it right now. And then we can work on her. Like, okay, what can you do? Are you able to tell your husband how you feel in the way that he can hear it and receive it? So I feel like it's got to be baby steps. It's like different layers. And I know I went to different places, but in my mind, it has to take all of that, because if there's, like you said, if they've been married for years, if there's still no change, and this is something that he really desires, and she's unable to or not willing to, whatever that is, then that's other things that we have to figure out in order to get back to the original question. Does that kind of make sense?
That makes sense.
So essentially, he still have to be patient.
But
that's it, basically.
But on the communication tip, though, right, on that piece too that Jolly's speaking to, and I just want to piggyback off of it real quick. Because if it's been 5 years and they're like, I've been saying this, I would wonder, like, how have you been saying it?
Yeah.
It's probably not been landing. You've probably been saying the same thing for 5 years and it isn't landing. You're not giving the space and the grace like you're talking about, Jolly. So again, when we were joking about like what's dirty, like you really would have to be clear. Like you kind of touched on this, Willie, of what does that mean? Like always give examples. It can be written examples. Like these are some of the things that I'm talking about, because your mind could go, well, maybe they want me to say,
she could be,
yeah,
she could hear dirty and think way over there. She's like, oh, I can get there. I don't even know. But if there's no, like you said, Imani, if there's no definition on like what that is, then that could even be the starting point. Maybe they don't even know what dirty is to one another or what's acceptable. Like, if he's on level 4, like what's the minimum of level 4 that you could get? Like, you never know. Like they might be able to meet on level 2. And that works for everybody. So it's just like, we got to first define like what is even dirty, and then is there a way that you can say these things that makes you feel comfortable and still gets the point across? And
absolutely. So hopefully that was helpful when that person reads the replay. That's actually the only question about sex that I had. The others about parenting. We have some about money, but I see one in the actual Q&A, you guys. So again, how to feel comfortable having sex if inexperienced and wanting to try new things, but not wanting to do it wrong.
So What I tell people is that we got to get out of our heads when it comes to sex. Sex is supposed to be an experience, especially y'all married. This is a life partnership type situation. Like, we have to take the ego out of sex. And what I mean by that is we feel like we have to look a certain way, we have to sound a certain way, we have to perform a certain way, and that's just not it.
Yeah.
We're not the people from TV, we're not the people from porn. None of that. Those are all actors. This is real life. So, this is real life. And so I feel like there are ways to discuss these things that are fun. So I feel like a lot of times when we have these conversations, we want to sit down and have a conversation about sex. And it doesn't even have to be all of that. It can be like, babe, I found this new game. Let's try it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can try it and hate it and never do it again, but you try something new, right? Or like, oh, this was cool, but like, how about we try it this way?
Mm-hmm.
Or sit down and have a conversation about all the things you like. And you'll be amazed, like that is foreplay in itself.
It is.
Because you done got yourself all hot and bothered talking about all the things you want. Now the room right there, y'all already at home. The room
Might
right
not
there,
even get to the
back and do what you gotta do, right?
Yeah.
So
Communication is key.
yeah. In all
like,
aspects. So I love that. And I agree.
Can I piggyback on that? Or go ahead,
Yeah,
sis.
go ahead. Of course, Willie. Yeah, it's open.
I think I will say this: the something that I was speaking with men. I think the biggest part is that a lot of men are freaks. We just gonna be honest. They are freaks. You right? Because we are physical. So
just saying.
huh?
Whatever that means, but
yeah, I'm just saying. Like, but see,
Whatever that means.
men are quicker to be freaky than women are. Let's just say that, okay? In that aspect, because we are physical, right? In that aspect. So a lot of men that I've talked to, because I asked the question, because sex always pops up. You hear that, man. Once you get married, sex dries up, right? And then people that be single, you be like, well, I don't want to get married if it dries up because that's something that I desire, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think what it is a lot of men may be afraid to say what their desires are up front so that you can work on it. By the time you get married, you may not have those problems because you have expressed, I want you to talk to me nasty, or I want you to bite my neck, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But men may be afraid to express that or don't know how to without feeling like they're giving up their manhood, if I could say it in that way, and not like giving up the manhood.
No,
but
I understand.
being, having that. I think that's what it could be as well too, from just speaking to men as well.
Yeah.
So the gag is that women are also freaky as well.
I was about to say that.
So the gag is always like, listen, because if I introduce y'all to my friends, y'all be like clutching pearls, and these people are out here running the world and stuff like that, and they, getting it in at the same time. But the thing is, like, there are barriers on both sides.
Right.
So I know for like women, it's like they also feel like they can't express themselves fully because, oh, well, were you doing this before you met me? Like, were you, out here in these streets or whatever? Or they feel like, well, if I express these things, then now, my potential partner, my partner may see me in a different light.
Yeah.
But the thing is, that could be a whole unlocking of another achievement level for y'all.
That's not a bad thing.
Like, there could be sparks flying.
Yeah.
But there's all of these barriers in the way. And so what I tell people, like, if you can be as honest as you can up front so people know what they are already dealing with. Because what you don't want is to have all of these like secret desires and all of these fantasies and all of this stuff that was never covered. Y'all done got married. It's, y'all are ticking along and you want these things and you never discussed it. Now it feels like it's coming out of left field.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know what I mean? When you could have been talking about these things ahead of time. And that gives people informed choice. Like, that's a lot. I'm not really into that kind of thing. So we need to rethink, or I need to make decisions for myself. We have to like be fully informed. But that goes to a lot of things, right? It goes to how you think about sex in the first place, how you were raised, what do you already know? I think somebody talked about inexperience.
We're all experiencing something.
Yeah, like there's levels of, differing levels of experience. And even in that, you can make it fun. I think we have to like bring fun back. We have to think about it, reframe it. We get so serious about sex, and I'm not saying it's not a serious thing, but it's also really fun. But we have to reframe our minds around that part of it, right? Because even if you're inexperienced, okay, let's learn together. Let's try something, let's explore this together. It's a chance to move slowly. You can get some, sensuality, some intimacy in there. Like, we have to reframe how we think about it. And then that's how you can move along in the sexual experience and learn new things. And you never know, you can learn something new together. So
and
I think we
go
have
ahead,
I think we have to create a safe environment for each other to grow in sex. Like you can't just expect your spouse to want to become or want to expose themselves to you or go to a certain level if as a husband you haven't created a safe environment for them to do so. As women, we're judged so much harder than men are. It's like we expect men to be wild and we expect them to be crazy. And as much as you husbands or men want women that are wild and crazy, that kind of come with a double-edged sword for us as females. We know what you want because sometimes you cheat to get it, but sometimes you don't want to portray that as what you want from your wife. You know what I'm saying? So it's creating a safe environment that says, if I can be me with no judgments and you can be you with no judgments, because sometimes it goes both ways too, because sometimes we can think, well, oh my gosh, she was a freak, or oh my gosh, what's wrong with you? But creating a safe environment and a safe place for each other that says we learn, we grow, we can be vulnerable with each other, whether that's experience or inexperience, and we can make this thing our thing. And make sure that as a man, when you're asking stuff or when you're having expectations, that those expectations are truly for you and your wife, and not necessarily experiences that you're bringing from previous and past relationships and stuff into your marriage. And now you expect me to be, I don't know, Alicia or Kim or whoever you were with, but you actually expect me to be me in our marriage so that we can enjoy each other and see where it goes.
Yeah, acceptance of self, absolutely. And if you haven't, the one who answered that question, if you haven't seen the segment with Jolly and I, she talked about playfulness, she talked about fun too, and gave some insight on that in just watching that. And in her segment in the playbook, there's some activities that you can try. There's one that she mentioned that may be higher level in terms of body exploration. And then there's one that's maybe a little bit more simpler and calmer that you can try. And some things that she also mentioned specifically in her segment. So I think that's great to try as well. And before I switch gears to, I think the next question is on money. Somebody did put, what if your partner is not willing to play the game? Now, I'll say on my end, a lot of times that goes to what you were saying earlier, Jolly. There's something, what's the block there? What's the reason why you don't want to play this game? And at some point, if it's been like, oh, I'm tired, I don't feel like it, that's some real surface level stuff, right? So we have to get down into what's the real reason why you're not interested in doing this thing? How is it being presented, being approached? How are they receiving it? So a lot of times, if there's a complete unwillingness to even try or even step into it, there's usually something else needs to happen, like a different type of conversation before you can even take the action. But yeah, somebody can speak to that. Maybe,
let me say this
seconds or
on
so
a man's
before we move to the next question. Go ahead.
Let me say this from a man's perspective. I used to be that guy. I felt like I knew everything, right? So it was a part of my pride. It was like, no, I'm gonna get in here and This is what I've been told it should be like this, right? And to the part of I really didn't understand that going in and having the physical act of acting towards that was part of it. I had to be mentally and emotionally present at the same time. So where for men, and not saying that all men, but a man like that, if it's, I think she said it was did you say it was a husband or just saying your spouse?
Which one that says unwilling to play the game?
Yes, was it a husband?
It just says the partner.
The partner. Okay, so for men, let me speak for men and say this to any man that listens to this. Just like how you feel that you get used to a woman after a while of having sex with her, the woman does the same thing. They feel the same way. So therefore, you have to get outside of your box and feeling like just because you may be mandingo or you knock the walls down, that's it. No, from my experience of talking to women, they don't like the walls knocked down all the time. You know, you have to be willing to rebuild the walls, and you can read in between those lines on that. But get out of your way. Stop being afraid to do something different. And if you're tired, take you some macaroon or something like that. Find some natural ways to get your energy up. But it's not fair that you put all the pressure on the woman to spice it up in the bedroom when you still coming to the bed with some holy drawers and you want her to have some lingerie on. You know, that's not fair. You have to switch it up as well.
You got to go both
but
ways.
I'll leave it okay. Yeah, it goes both ways.
Yeah, we both got to bring
something box,
to the table. Absolutely. But definitely for those of you who have these questions, I'm highly encouraging you to connect with Jolly. You know, she has resources, she does this, she has workshops that she does. And, you know, that's a great connection because intimacy, a part of your overall intimacy is sex. And when there's stuff going on in there's usually stuff going on in other parts with your communication, like that. But that's an important part as well. So thank you.
One thing I want to add to the conversation.
I was getting to you next anyway in the next question. So go ahead.
I really love everything that Jolly said. Here's what I took from it is, for me, and this is you putting on your therapist hat, right? It's intriguing how our past can help dictate our future, you know, not only in our lifestyles, but also sexually. You know, you may have some women who may not want to take it there because of a bad experience that they had 20 years ago. And it doesn't have anything to do with you as the husband or a spouse. But if you can communicate, because communication is key, and try to unlock some of those barriers that we had in the past, you know, and this is me speaking to my ladies. So we can kind of unlock some of those transgressions that we had in the past, then and open up about them, then that's definitely going to help you be more of a better spouse and wife to your husband who wants to take it there. Right.
Yeah.
Ego is just a word. I've been learning about this a lot. So ego is just a word. Unfortunately, us men tend to have bigger egos than women, and we let that kind of guide and dictate relationships and other things that we've been in. So I know as a man, me speaking for myself, that's something that I'm working on, really just getting rid of the ego portion of myself so that I can open up, I can see better. You know, my eyes will be clear. I can see the path in front of me a lot better. And last but not least, being upfront and honest with your future spouse, a husband, a wife, in the beginning allows you to make the choice to whether or not you want to be with that person. And then I believe that helps you learn to love the person for who they truly are instead of what you think with the expectations that you have set for yourself for that person.
Absolutely. If you
don't ultimately, we all have to do our own work.
Yep.
I don't care if you start now, if you've been married 20 years, you're constantly doing your own work. Even as somebody who's a professional in this field, I have to do my own work. Think about, how do I think about things? Okay, why did I react to that? Okay, that made me feel away. Why? You know, we have to constantly be reflecting and checking in with ourselves, and that is how you grow. Yeah. And that also includes in the area of sex. So I think we do that in other areas, but we still have to do it when it comes to sex.
Yeah. And that's why I'm glad you were here, because we don't talk about that much. And, you know, we have to do like you said, we have to do our own work. And I know it's frustrating when you feel like you're doing the work and you don't feel like your spouse is doing the work. I get that that's frustrating, but that's when we have to lean into the fact that we can't control them. So it's hard. We can say it, you can only control yourself, but in action, it's some of the hardest stuff when you realize, like, I can't shake you to go faster than this in your growth. You can't. So work with you, and still leave the space and the grace for them to have the environment to work on them and to grow. And it'll be that patience and that endurance and that grace that comes into play so that you can grow together in all the areas. But yeah, definitely keep in touch with Jolly, and that ego stuff. Willie talked a lot about that in his segment as well. So that was a great segment to listen to in terms of, speaking to men, also how we check ourselves, what it is that we do, how do we get vulnerable, how do you get vulnerable with your wives so that you can get to what you want. So speaking of something else we don't talk about much, one of these other questions is about money. So it says, my wife wants to invest, but they, okay, I'm sorry. My wife wants to invest, but they don't know what they're doing and just losing money. They think I don't like investing because I'm tight with money, but I just think they should do some research or something first. But she says she learns by doing. We want me to read it again?
Nah, I guess I can take this one.
We all looked at you.
I ain't gonna say no. Go ahead, Mike. I'm listening to you.
This is something is very common, actually, especially in the African American community, when it comes to investing in money. So, we've been taught, we've not been taught, but we've all heard that, we need to invest. We need to invest. What do we invest in? How do we invest? This, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And what we tend to do is to kind of just jump out there without doing the proper research on what we should be investing on and why, right? And then also making sure that we are invested in the right vehicles that's going to give us long-term growth. And so we don't have a strategy, is what I'm saying, whenever we invest.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but in a lot of cases, for what I've seen in my work, we don't always have a strategy. And so then the question comes, well, how do we create a strategy? Right. And so then that's when we started looking towards people that have actually been there. Now, people that want to get out there and just invest, then okay, that's perfectly fine. There's 3 different types of learners that we all learned about: visual, audible, and then kinesthetic. I can never say that word, but I hope
No, you got it.
Right. So some of us can just look at TV and say, okay, this is what I'm going to invest in. Some of us can hear talk from our friends, and then we'll say, this is what we're going to invest in. And then other times we have to actually do it. I have clients that we experience all 3 levels of that, right? Now, here's one thing that I just want to just throw in there for all my Audible listeners. If you need some financial advice and you go talk to a person and they give you advice, but you're not really sure about, should I really trust this person? Ask that person what their net worth is. All right. If they give you a negative number or they don't know, then don't take advice from that person, because you want to take advice from people that are in the situation that you want to be in the future financially. Right. And so the people that want to just jump out there and get into it, that's perfectly fine. But make sure that you're jumping out there, getting into it with money that you don't mind losing. Because investing is a gamble, right? Whenever we go to the casino or any place, bingo hall, I used to live in Alabama, they had bingo halls.
Bingo.
Right? Yeah. So you know that I'm not going to go out here and take all my hard-earned money and just throw it on the slot machines, because you don't know whether you're going to get that money back or not. Right. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. When we approach investing, that's the same concept. So if you throw $1,000 in there, maybe you'll get back $100. Maybe you'll get back $1,000. Maybe you'll double your money, but you can also lose that $1,000 plus a little bit more. And so if we're going to go out there and throw money in it, then let's just do it one step at a time. Let's just take baby steps. Let's throw some money in there that we don't mind losing. And now we start to see what gains are. We start to see what capital gains are. we start to see what losing money looks like. And then we start to experience that feeling. Because whenever we're building money, we're really experiencing a feeling either of growth or what's the word for negative growth? Retraction? I don't know. Right. So we're feeling one or the other. Ultimately, we want to feel growth, because when we're investing, we should all have the mindset of we want to invest long term so that we don't live 20 years longer than our savings. Right? And so that's when people are starting to get in trouble a little bit later down the line. So investing should always be looked at from a long-term standpoint. What do we want to get out of it? How much risk are we willing to take at this time in our life? And then what's our strategy? Right. And so as we start to put together all of these things, that's when we can create a plan. When you look at these millionaires and billionaires, they have plans for their money. Right. They say, okay, well, I know 10 years from now, I want to have this much money, and I want to be able to do this with my money, as opposed to saying, I want to invest.
Can I take this and say off of that?
Yeah.
How we was talking, Mike, how you break it down for them to understand from book terms, and I break it down a little bit more.
Yeah.
Say to my brother that said this. One thing, if she likes to do this and you see that she's interested in it, you can't always look at that as a negative way, although she's spending money and losing it. The reason why is because at least she's trying to do something to bring back into the home to be able to help both of you. So what I would suggest to you to do is to sit down with her, and how about you all, as Michael said, come up with a plan together. You see that she's doing it. Now you set out some guidelines and some rules. Hey, we're going to work on this together, and these are the rules is what I think. What do you think could be the rules? Let's meet in the middle. And now you are investing together. Right. And now that's building another bridge back to each other's love and understanding and wanting to make it stronger, because now you're both doing something to better the future of you all. Because like Michael said, investing is not something where you just invest and it's for today or tomorrow. Right. It's a long lifetime thing. So you have to make sure that she is doing something for you all's life in the future. So therefore, don't look at it in such a negative way. Yes, she's losing money and you don't want that. That's going to happen. But what can you do to help strengthen her in the areas that she may not be strong? So you have to be willing to work with her on that instance. Because like Mike said, you said something that just hit me on the top of my bald head. You don't want to live 20 years after your retirement is out. Yeah. Man, I know that was simple. That may have been simple, but man, 20 years after your retirement rolls out, I'm like, God, I need to get my life all the way together and then some.
It's real. That's why you see people working at the register, and then
it didn't register
75, 80.
Yes. And I promise you, I never thought of that.
You cannot survive off of Social Security. So back in the day when Social Security was first invented, it was invented for the average lifespan was like 65 years old. And so you would get Social Security and then you would die. Now the average lifespan is 85, 90 years old. And the average person is retiring between the ages of 60 and 65. So think about it. If you retire at the age of 65 and you live until the age of 90, that's 2.5 decades. That's 2.5 decades.
Say it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
What have we done? And so to Willie's point, and that's why that's my brother, he's absolutely right. He hit the nail right on the head. If she is trying to invest, then I would definitely encourage her and applaud her for taking the necessary steps, right? Congratulate her on taking that first step to get the ball rolling. And then you guys come together and you talk about it, and then you start working on the strategy together.
Yeah.
Yeah. then in this society, now that we're living information, you can get information so easily.
Yeah.
You know, invest in a course, like we have to normalize and we have to get better at investing financially in ourselves.
Yeah.
Like there's so many courses outside there, and we might be like, oh, I don't want to pay $1,000 or $1,400 or $500 or $600, but our friends have no problem investing in themselves, and that's why they exactly and that, and that is why they see, you know, they grow a lot. And our community have to do better at investing financially in the things that's going to profit us in the future. So get her a course, come together and say, okay, let's invest $1,000 or let's invest $600. Let's go to some of these investment courses or classes that's out there that shows us the ins and outs on how to do it. You know, that may be something she might forever be appreciative for, you know. Might end up showing that appreciation in the bedroom. I do.
My brother, what you can do is you can get her to reach out to a brother I know that's really smart. His name is Michael Watson. You can get her to reach out to him to help you, help her. So you all can get help together. I'm just saying, you know, I was just throwing that out there.
No, that's true.
Resources.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, absolutely. So like one of the things to piggyback off of what Marsha said, so let's be real. Black folks, we think that everything is a scam. We think that courses are a scam. We think that this is a scam. I thought this was gonna be a scam. And we think that putting up money up front is a scam. But what we fail to realize is that we have not been taught and really educated on what return on investment looks like, right? And that's not just in money, that's in life. So the road is hard up front. We spoke about this earlier. There's trials and tribulations up front that we have to deal with. But when we get to once we get to the other side, the blessings and the returns are plentiful and bountiful, as the preacher would say. My man Willie, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes,
right?
sir.
So if we can get out of that mindset and unlearn some of the things that we've learned before, then we start to realize like investing in this $1,000 course is not a scam because I'm gonna get $3,000 back from it in a year.
Yes, perspective, mindset, all
and
of that.
Then that 3,000 turns to 6,000, 8,000, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right, but it all starts with taking that first step.
Absolutely.
The basic. Let me say this really fast to piggyback on you, Mike. Our culture have been taught to survive, not thrive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are going to survive, meaning that $1,000, man, I could put that on this bill and I could pay this and I could do that.
Yeah.
And not realizing, yes, you're surviving, but when that $1,000 is gone and then next month or next couple months pop up and you're still in the same place, or the next year pops up and you're still in the same place, you're getting frustrated because we've and it not by our parents just deciding to do this. We were forced to survive and not learn how to thrive.
Yeah, tomorrow is, it's hard to see tomorrow on the heels of today's struggle, right? So you struggling today, you're like, I worry about tomorrow, today's lights, but we have to be able to really find the harmony in all of that. So I love what everybody's saying, because some of y'all saying, I'm sitting here thinking and I'm like, yes, say that, yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like, someone just commented and said, what she said, I think I can't see the comments, but she said something about the future self. I think
this is so good. We have to live for the future self. Yes,
our children, and we have to as well learn to make more of a connection between our present self and the future self. Like we think of the future person as this person is far gone, and we can't necessarily see them. So today we're not living for them, but that person comes around so quick. You know, you go from 25 and 25 to 30 so quick, and because we don't make that connection and see how important it is for us to make it right now. Like Willie said, it's just like, oh, you know, I'll worry about that later. Let me just worry about now. But worrying about later should be worrying about now.
Yes.
You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It all happens. And if we got really deep and started talking about time, it's all happening cyclically. You know, you're preparing for tomorrow while you're in the present, and you don't have to negate one for the other. You know, Michael and I, if you watch his segment, we talked about and mindset versus or, and it's a lot of of money mindset stuff. And the activity in his section of the playbook is around first getting your money mindset together so that you can implement a lot of the things that he does. And you can have that be a conversation. And one last thing I'll say, because Willie was saying the thing, I was like, there's a missed opportunity here to work together. So I'm glad you said that, but I want you to think of your strengths. If your strength is more research and analytical stuff, and you bring that to the table, and your wife is more like the risk action taker, those two things work really well together if you take the opportunity to allow that to happen. If you think it has to be this way, the research and the this, but she learns by doing, then how do you bring those
Marry the two.
strengths,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
See them as strengths. So I think that's really dope. That's really, really awesome.
Yes,
So
that's-
I do have a last question from the people. It's on parenting.
Let me say
Oh.
this one last thing, sis.
Yes,
And we
brother.
can get to it. So I think what would be a good thing as well too is put a budget of, hey, this part is going to be for you to just make your own decision in the investing. And then this part is for us to come together, and we can't buy anything unless we agree together.
Yeah.
My
So
man Willie.
allow
My man
allow
Willie.
that. Huh?
Yes, sir.
You see what I'm saying?
Budget is where it all starts. You
That's
are
it,
100% correct, my brother.
Man, look at here, cause I know I don't blew through some budgets when we was working at Verizon.
Yeah.
Man, listen, I didn't know any of this.
Yeah.
So my mindset was, if I'm getting $5,000 this month, and I already see what my commission check is next month, it's 5,000. I'm gonna blow this 5,000 because I'm getting it back next month.
Right back. I'm getting it right back, and I'm do the same.
And I'm like, no. When I started thinking, like, no, brother, that 5,000 is gone. You know,
Mhm.
if you would have kept 3,000 and half, you would have been at 8,000. But
Yep.
Yeah.
just do it that way. If you have $200, $100 is for her to blow, $100 is for you all to come together, and then see how it starts growing that way. Just a suggestion.
Hey,
No, it's a
you 100%
awesome
spot on, man. And I love that you said that about budget, because that's where everything starts, right? So a budget is just telling our money where to go instead of wondering where it went.
Just when I enjoy that from your segment. I was like,
Budget check.
I'm gonna say it again. A budget is us telling us where our money to go, telling our money where to go instead of wondering where it went. That is so true.
That need to be on a shirt.
I know.
You're really trying to merchandise everything up in here, Willie.
I'm telling you, listen. I'm just throwing you out there something.
Make sure I get this last person's question in so they
Go
know
ahead,
I
I'm
have their
sorry.
back.
Go ahead.
Everybody
Yes.
like, let me say this real quick, and you know I got this southern drawl. It's gonna take real quick, gonna take a little longer because I'm from Alabama. This is how I start. I feel you. And we start about 5 minutes after, so we'll give the time for this. But my husband and I don't agree on how we should parent the kids. He thinks I'm being too nice on them, and I think he's too hard. How do we meet in the middle?
Wow. Typical.
Right?
You're not alone. This happens a lot. Start with the end game in sight. Where do you want to get to? And then work from there. What kind of kids do you want to raise? You know, specifically if it's about one specific thing. If it's about school, I think you're too slack on school. Or if it's about chores or responsibility, start with where you want to end. You know, the wife may have certain concerns. I think sometimes we're a little bit more lenient because we're nurturing and we're loving, and we don't want our kids to feel beaten down. So we want to make sure that we're giving that support, and we can't overcompensate. And then from the man's perspective, sometimes they're like, no, you got to get it right. You can't, no more hugging, too much kissing, too much this, too much that, you know? And it's finding that blended balance, because both is needed, you know, both is needed. And we know with anything, if you go too far left or too far right, is not good. You have to find that balance in between. So part of finding that balance is sitting down and talking about it. Why are you so harsh? Why are you so soft? How can we come in the middle and make sure that our child is getting what our child needs to be the person that we want them to be? Being very, very clear about what it is that you both want for your children, and then working through how do we get there and why are you so harsh? You know, well, this is how I was taught, this is how I grew up. A man's supposed to be harsh, but maybe we need to talk on that. And part of in my segment, part of I talk about doing the inner work, doing the work on you, because sometimes a lot of times we parent from what we think based on how we grow up and not necessarily what is needed right now. So I don't know how old is the average parent that's tuning in, but maybe you were taught on something from 15 or 20 years ago. That's outdated. You know, you have to change with the change in time and make sure that you're using stuff that actually works and can give you the results that you need in this day and time. And I find that having a harsh hand sometimes, being too harsh only cause your children to withdraw and pull in, and then they don't see you as a resource. They don't see you as a trusted person that they can come to. But if they know that daddy or mommy has to be stern and tough in these particular areas because of X, Y, and Z, they expect it. Okay, I understand that you have to be the parent, but this is how I feel. So coming together and where is it the basic thing of everything is just communication and making sure that you both have the same expectations, or clear at least on what your expectations are, so that you can come together and you can work on it. And I don't blame one person or one parent over the other, because I really see the value in both of it. It's just like we were talking about the investing thing with the spouse. You know, it's a good thing that your husband want to be stern. It's a good thing that your wife is very nurturing, because how you're making a future husband, you know, so you want him to be stern, him or her. You want him to be in tune with that nurturing side for his children and his generations. Because when you're raising your child, you're not just raising this one child, you're raising a generation through that child. So you have to make sure that you give them as much as you possibly can to be balanced in every area. So coming together and working out what our expectations are and how we can make sure that we're getting that same thing is going to be the most beneficial for the child.
Yeah.
Marsha, I want to say thank you.
I'm about to tell you, I had to write that down. Raising the generation through the child.
Man, hey, that's the same thing. Oh my goodness. I tried my best to hold it in, but listen here. I have to tell you, my sister, thank you. I never looked at it that way. It almost brought a tear to my eye, because raising my daughters, right? I'm that father, I ain't gonna lie, I'm a punk to my daughters. I'm a punk, you know, but it's because I saw how my father did my sisters, right? So I took the pain that they went through and they felt, and I said, well, I'm never going to allow my daughters to feel any pain, right? So I'm actually far left, like I babied them, right? And for you to say what you just said, it's like, wow, I have to make sure that I'm raising them to be good to their kids. I never thought of it like that. I was just raising them for now, for them, and not for their kids, my great grandkids, great grandkids. I thank you.
And that's how your legacy lives on to Willie. You know, that's how your legacy lives on through them, because the things and the lessons and the values that you input in them is what they're going to input in their children, and their children's children is going to input in there. And then they're going to be like, well, where did all this come from? Oh, my mom's dad teacher that, you know, and it just lives on through them. So I try to, when I'm looking at my children, not see them, but see my grandchildren and my great grandchildren and my lineage through them. And what is the message that I want to send without not even being here? What's the message I want to send through them?
Yeah, because one day you won't be
Change
here.
my life. You don't change my perspective completely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So why is it to be, you know, nurturing and stuff, and don't overcompensate from pain. When we parent from pain, is never the most powerful position to pivot from or to parent from, because pain has a lot of blinders to it. So you're not seeing the full, you might think you're seeing everything that your daughters can be, but because you're doing it from a position of, I don't want to mirror this. Now, like you said, you're far left. You're trying so hard not to mirror that you're missing everything else that you could be pulling out from them. You know, pain is inevitable. So we have to teach them how to
handle
deal
it
and live with pain and bounce back, how to be resilient.
Absolutely.
That's
So
great.
So
And
in
what
the
is
spirit,
also, oh, sorry.
oh, I was gonna say, because I know we could talk all day. This is a good one. We got, but I do want to give the attendees who've been saying a lot of great things. They said, yes, it's value on both sides. What do you want your children to become? And it's just so important. And I just want to give everybody in the panel, so, a few seconds, like 15 seconds, to kind of say your final words, and emphasize that, one, a lot of what they said, a lot of what you need to think about, and their contact information is in the playbook. It's in the group, and connect with them at the, make sure that you actually reach out and connect. These are the resources. These are the ways that we elevate where we are in our marriage. So final thoughts from everyone before we round out.
Ladies first.
Okay, I'll go first. It was such a good opportunity, first of all, to meet each and every one of you, to hear from you. So many times our voice is lost, and we don't see the value in each other. And I'm glad that I had the opportunity to really get to know each one of you and listen to your segments, because they were very impactful. And I was happy to see people of color that's out here doing their thing. It was so encouraging. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is, you can be, I know we say you can be anything that you want to be, and that is so cliche, but it is also true. You can be anything that you want to be. Start with a vision. Don't start anything without asking yourself, what do I want from this? What is the end result? What am I trying to obtain here? It's like Michael said, don't just make a plan to make a plan, or don't just want to do something to want to do it, but ask yourself, what is it I want from this thing? And then work from there. Take the necessary steps and actions that's going to get you to the end result that you're desired. But if you're just going along the way, you're not going to get the end result that you're desiring. If you're going on a vacation to Jamaica, you know where to pack, because you know where you're going. If you're going to see the ice glaciers or whatever it is that is, and you're going to know how to pack based on where you're going. So start out with knowing where you're going, what type of parent you want to be. How much money do you want to have saved? What kind of life you want to have after retirement? What kind of sex life you want to have? What kind of life you want to have in general, and then plan from there.
Thank you.
I'll just say thank you for having me. This was really fun and great to talk with the other panelists. I'll just quickly say, remember to do your own work, keep ego out of it, and pleasure is not canceled.
Yes, that's definitely a t-shirt.
You can go ahead. You can go ahead, brother.
I got a t-shirt company too, a little shameless plug there. So so for me, I always start and finish on my mission statement, because I'm very passionate about it and I work very hard on it, and it's really who I am. So my mission is to be a financial educator. I want to create financial independence through expert guidance and accountability. Expert guidance. So what that means is, if there's, I don't know how many spiritual or God-fearing people that we have here on the call, but I believe in the Lord. I believe that He has a path for all of us to walk down, and if we keep our eyes and our ears open, then He will show us that path. I'm not saying that I'm God, anything like that. All I'm saying is that we all have a journey financially that we would like to walk down. And a lot of times we may not know where we're going on that path. We need to find that light, those signs, street signs or whatever. So for me, that's expert guidance. Accountability. If there's a goal that you tell me that you want to achieve, you better damn well believe that I'm gonna hold you accountable for you want to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. So my mission, to be a financial educator, I want to create financial independence through expert guidance and accountability. I want to change the narrative around wealth accumulation, particularly Black wealth, and help 1,000 families achieve a 7-figure net worth and generational wealth. Thank you for allowing me to be here today. I put my IG information there on the chat. I'm trying to build up my IG presence. I do daily quizzes for financial literacy every single day. So if you're interested and want to learn more, then please follow.
Thank you.
Last man, I should have went before you.
Ending with a bang, brother. Ending with a bang.
No pressure, Willie.
Say the best for last. You know how it is.
But Once again, I want to say thank you as well too, sis. You know, we've been riding for a while. You have believed in me and gave me, you know, guidance as well too. But I want to tell people this, that it comes a point in time in your life where you have to get out of your own way when it comes to life, finances, relationships, sex, parenting. You have to get out of your own way and realize that the ways that you have been taught or you know right now is not always the best way. Listening to what the panelists have said literally have given me a different perspective on things. My goal in life is to help people heal. And in order for you to heal, you have to understand that you are broken in certain areas. We can be broken sexually, we can be broken parenting, financially as well too. In order for you to do that, you have to be willing to be honest with yourself. And that's where I step in and I help you be honest with yourself because I'm honest with you. So healing from a broken place in every aspect of your life. It's time for us to heal as a people. And you have a panelist of people here that are allowing you to understand that it's people out here that's like you, that's the same melanin as you, that's willing to help you. So don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to get the help. And we love you and we want to make sure that we're giving you everything that you need to be able to advance in life.
Yes. And I want to thank all of you in the comments and the attendees. I want to thank all of the panelists here. And I'll say from the communication perspective really quickly, because I know that's foundational, is that communication is what we say, what we don't say. So speak up, even when it's easier to be silent in any of these areas. All right, you guys. So I'm gonna let my panelists move them to attendees. If you want to stay and rock with us, I'm gonna bring the DJ on in. We'll be back for our wives panel at 3-ish, but we'll be back around that time because we have about a 5-minute grace. And so listen to the tunes, enjoy yourself. I'm probably gonna take a little break to get a bite to eat. And I will be back with the wives panel. So the ladies will be joining me. Remember, this evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, we also have a finale grand party on Zoom live, and I will be giving away some dope stuff. So make sure that you have that in your mind and your calendar. So bye for now. I will see you all soon. And let me see if I can, or you guys can join in the with the attendee link too if you want to. If I don't do this fast enough, you can do that. But I'm about to just change your role to attendee. Bye for now, you guys.
Bye.
All right. 1 second, guys, while I get the tunes together.